Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Secretary, for being here today. Question earlier was a lot of questions raised about the proposal for $1 billion in borrowing for schools to address asbestos and lead remediation. Many of these are older schools and districts had known for years that they had issues with asbestos and lead, but yet failed to act. Many of the districts did act and spent money. I live in one of the areas we have some of the highest property taxes per capita for school districts, and yet those taxes increased, and schools were built and remediation was done. This $1 billion in borrowing for school districts that have been derelict in protecting their students, and then now we're asking the folks that have been paying much higher taxes to pay back that borrowing. It doesn't seem fair that we wouldn't then reimburse those schools who did take action and make sure that their kids were safe. And what accountability do we have for those municipalities and school districts who to this day are sending children to school districts? And if this is such a big issue that it could be, you said earlier, between $1 billion and possibly $10 billion, where is the accountability on those folks that are running the schools to allow this to happen for so long?
So I can't speak to an issue of accountability. I mean, there are a number of varying factors in that question. Transitioning leadership, changing school boards, the ability to generate revenue.
But does the department oversee that? I mean, obviously, right now, if you're saying we need this money, we need this extent of borrowing, and we're talking about charter schools, and I was blessed. Both my daughters graduated from public schools, got a great education, and I understand the charter reform, and I know Representative Topper had spoke to that earlier, and something that we certainly need to do. I've heard about it. I met with my school business officials and superintendents. I know that there's an issue there with special education, but at the same time, my God, if my children were being sent to a classroom that was unsafe, why wouldn't we want to encourage those children to take advantage of the safe option of using charter schools if those districts have been that negligent for so long?
I don't think it's an apples-to-apples conversation. I think, as far as I'm concerned, sitting here.
But it's all children. I mean, these are children, right?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's about their safety. I don't understand.
I'll respond. So, I've had the great distinction to be here for a number of years, and I can't justify or argue around any of the decisions of my predecessors. But what I do know sitting here today is that we've had a number of schools that we've been working with and have identified their schools as being schools that are serving kids in toxic environments. We now know that what some of our lead levels look like in drinking water. We now know the impact and effects of asbestos to the air quality.
So the issue with the
lead, I know this today.
The issue with
so
the
as
lead in the
Secretary,
drinking water, is that inside of the
remediation.
buildings, or is that coming from the water that's coming into these buildings, or is that inside of the buildings?
It's an issue of aging infrastructure in terms of lead in their pipes. It could be water that's coming from the inside. It could be water that's ultimately, coming out of
Are they providing clean, safe drinking water to their students?
As we know it, the schools that have been identified have closed those water fountains down and are providing. They have to provide water. That's that's a matter of law. But the schools that are working to remediate are.
Right. I mean, at the end of the day, I think we all have the same passion for wanting children to have a safe environment to learn in. But at the same time, I think when you have certain areas which are paying extremely high property taxes, and they had to do this to fix some of these problems, now being asked to flip the bill for districts that have been negligent in taking care of that, I think that's a tough pill to swallow for a lot of folks. And I look forward to working with you to address the issue of the charter school funding formula. I hope we can all come to the table and get something resolved on that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.